According to an urban legend, in the early 80s there existed an arcade game known as Polybius. This game could only be found in a few arcades in Portland, Oregon. The game was extremely popular and addictive, and it would result in huge lines with people fighting over who would play next. According to the legend, men in black would periodically visit these machines to record the effects the game had on people's minds. Some players allegedly suffered from amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, and hallucinations. About 1 month after Polybius was released, the game disappeared from every arcade without a trace. The legend of the elusive game Polybius has been around since the 90s. In 1998, a post was made to an arcade game resource website called coinop.org, which described the Polybius legend. The company that created the game was listed as Sinneslöschen. This word translates from German as sense delete or sensory deprivation. As far as the actual gameplay goes, the game was described as being a puzzle/space shooter genre. This legend began to spread very quickly, being featured on a lot of other websites. It was discussed on the Above Top Secret message boards, the Museum of Hoaxes, and there was even a website called The Polybius Theory that was created to gather any information about the game. Polybius even made an appearance in an episode of The Simpsons.
Who got these high scores? Pilgrims? Never saw this one before.
This legend has been analyzed and debunked by several different sources. One example of this is Snopes. In 2003, the topic of Polybius was brought up in a thread on Snopes.com, and they came to the conclusion this was a hoax. This was mainly because every document relating to the game led back to coinop.org, where the legend originated. In addition, the only thing released about the game at the time was just a picture of the title screen, but no actual gameplay is ever shown or described. The website GamePro.com also made an article about Polybius, and they listed the game's existence as inconclusive for much of the same reason as Snopes did. There was little to no proof to verify the existence of the game. What it comes down to in most articles is that there's little evidence of the game's existence, therefore there isn't much of a reason to believe it ever did exist. Still, the origin of this legend may be puzzling. Brian Dunning from Skeptoid.com wrote an article about Polybius in which he revealed some shocking facts. Back in 1981, the same year that Polybius is said to have existed, a kid named Brian Morrow played asteroids in an arcade in Portland, Oregon for 28 hours to try and break a record. He had to stop playing eventually because he was getting a pretty bad stomachache while playing. On the same day, in the same arcade, a kid named Michael Lopez was playing Tempest and ended up getting a migraine headache. Later on, he collapsed from how bad the headache was. 10 days after this happened, FBI agents raided several arcades in Portland, Oregon under the suspicion that the owners of the arcades were illegally using the arcade games for gambling. The games would be modified with counters so that players with the highest scores were paid by the owners to bring in more business. To prepare for the raid, FBI agents would go to these machines and take pictures of the players' names on the high score screens and inspect the machines for counters. This definitely could have played a role in the legend of Polybius. There are a lot of similarities. For one, both the legend and this true event happened in Portland, Oregon in 1981. They both involve people falling ill after playing an arcade game, and they both involve federal agents inspecting machines. With all that combined, it's easy to see how such a legend could have been born from this. This legend has inspired people to create fan-made Polybius games based off the legend. One of the most popular versions is the PC version created by Rogue Synapse. The gameplay is partially based off another game called Star Castle, but it also has details that were described by someone named Stephen Roach in 2006, who claimed to have played the original Polybius game, yet his story was later determined to be filled with inconsistencies. Regardless, this fan-made Polybius game can be downloaded at Sinneslöschen.com. Because this game uses the same title screen as shown in the pictures of the legend, some people have actually been able to create Polybius arcade machines using this version of the game to claim that they found one of the few remaining Polybius games. Regardless of the origins of the legend, it's definitely really impressive seeing how much it has grown and still being talked about even now. Thank you for watching. and I'll see you on the flip side.